See that we are recording. Yeah, so that is the great thing about Zoom is we can record. You can do that inside Facebook Live too now. I think you shared something with me and I kind of accidentally figured that out. But yeah, if people aren't on Facebook, then they can catch us on the replay. So welcome everybody. I'm having to like dual check to see if there's anybody that's jumping on with us live on Facebook, because of course through Zoom, unless somebody got the link, they can jump on us and we'll see them. But for the most part, I'm going to change this gallery view as well so that we can see each other side by side.
We've got that better.
Awesome, guys. So excited to have you here. Thank you so much. And yeah, exactly. So for those that are watching, this is Tarzan and Jane.
That's Tarzan.
Victoria. Exactly, right? Yeah, so I'm just excited. It's Friday. I forget what day it is even. Are you guys gotten in that same
now? What day, what month, what time?
Yep. Yeah. You know, when Eric has time off, we call him Mr. Saturday because, you know, like every day is Saturday. It's like, this is what it feels like to be a little bit retired. I kind of like it.
Yeah. And a little bit more in the now too.
Right. Yeah. Like, okay, we're getting a little taste, a little feel of what retirement would be like. I'm kind of liking that. Yeah. So again, I'm just really touched that we're coming here together. It's really exciting to bring special guests in and let the group kind of learn from all this magic that we're coming at with doing things more virtual inside this quarantine. You know, I know you guys are doing a lot of that, and this isn't your first, you know, your first rodeo at doing things virtual as far as where you guys are running your business. Yeah, so let me just like introduce you guys, aside from Tarzan and Jane. Victoria, I mean, I'm thinking, Ben, have we known each other just as long or did we know each other before?
Well, I think I knew you back at the Olympic Iron Club days.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Way back. So I'm excited to like,
the 90s.
yeah, to have known you guys as long as I have. You've both been a really impactful place in my world. Ben, when you were doing massage, you know, and I was like a student learning, and Victoria, when, you know, I was dealing with a lot of crisis in my time when my dad passed away, and really finding ways to move forward in all of this. So yeah, so Victoria, transformational hypnotherapist and soul guide in SWIM. I love that, soul guide. Her mission is to cultivate the light that illuminates and expands sacred awareness, to nurture soul potential, and to inspire and support others through the process of transformation and unfolding. And Ben, I'm just reading a little bit of here, but I want you guys to both kind of expand on this. You know, born and raised in the Olympic Peninsula, same with me. Such a good feeling to like love the place that you live and you were born. He's deeply absorbed in the primal arts of human nature connection since a young age, and has spent most of his time barefoot outside, pushing his limits, playing, training, and working in the natural world. You guys both are coaches. You guys both are really leaning into helping people find their best selves. So I was excited to reach out to both of you as what I like to call a power couple, really, you know, intertwining and finding ways to grow each other. Yeah. So I'll let you guys kind of take it over and choose who wants to go first. Tell us just a little bit more in depth. Yeah, just a little bit more what you're doing.
What would you like me to start with and talk about?
Yeah, so, you know, like tell the group how you educate us on giving back. What is it specifically that you're doing that's giving back to humanity, and you know, some of the practices I know that you're doing meditation wise. I mean, we're really talking about earthing this week and how the planet is really giving back to us. And so in that aspect, tell us a little bit of how your practice kind of moves into all of that.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you, Julia. This is really exciting for me, for us, that we're here together, because we've been talking about doing this for a long time. That, of course, you know, Tarzan and Jane, we come from two very different worlds, and yet there's the connection through the earth, and we're both working to connect to our true natures. We were coming at from different directions, but found ourselves in this beautiful place truly, when you asked me to do this call, talking about earthing, and it's like, well, I got to have Ben in on that, because Ben was my portal here when I moved here and met Tarzan, and was the city girl that showed up in my clunky boots at his first gathering. I was at the very first gathering, and was very different and unusual, and yet very resonant, And so my 18 years here has been about shedding some of that the conditioned self, and finding my true self through nature, through a lot of stuff Ben has shared with me, and just being here, As a hypnotherapist, I do a lot of guided imagery, which, in Los Angeles would be in a closed room, in a stuffy room, like, okay, close your eyes, imagine you're sitting by a tree or by a river. And now we get to take people out to the river or the trees. And so for me, that connection of what I was trying to do almost artificially with guided imagery is much more organic as we get to work with people in nature. And that's really that's it right there, helping people connect to their true nature in nature, and the ultimate, resilient renewal place of the earth, and connecting to ourselves. So that's I just found it easier to take my work, the baseline back to nature. It's like, oh, hello,
yeah.
that's the way, right?
Yeah, and it fills us up in such a profound way. Like you can feel it, you can smell it, versus just in that visual. But yeah, if you can go into the imaginary side of things and really expand more, when you're actually in it, you can take all those other senses in. Yeah. And you've got like go ahead.
I was going to say, especially right now for people who are, sheltering in place and maybe don't have access, can't get to the river now, can't get to the mountains, definitely leaning into imagery and using all the senses, smelling, the earth as, just rain, and we smell the mustiness of earth, and, that wonderful smell. So we can use our imagination and lean into those places and imagine we're there and get that connection to nature for ourselves, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm excited about some of the women's tribal retreat that you guys, everybody's kind of putting their events on hold, but I know that it's far enough kind of in advance that let's talk about it now, right? Where are you guys kind of with those? Yeah.
Well, this one, I started this last year. I've been offering a women's circle through Tribal Edge for about 8 or 9 years. It's kind of sporadic, and I actually have an online version of that right now. And it's really, we were talking about this earlier, it's kind of a, oxymoron to take these nature-based, earth-based skills online, but that's what we have to do right now.
Yeah.
But so I started a retreat last year really came out of, as we do as practitioners, noticing the microcosm of the macrocosm. What do I need? I needed to rest in nature. I needed to get back in nature more. So I call it nurtured in nature. And that's sort of my soul medicine, nurturing soul potential. And I thought, what's the better nurturer? Mother Earth, right? Maybe that's why we're so drawn to spending time in nature. So it's a small group. We did 8 last year, and I think we may do up to 16, 20 possibly. Yeah. And it really is just a time of being in nature, doing some earth-based skills. I had a bunch of things lined up last time, and honestly, most women wanted to go into. We created this outdoor, we called it the Nurtured Nest, where it was just kind of like a boho tent where women could just climb in and rest, and it was so awesome. And that's where most of the women went, and that's what most of the women did. Like, do you want to do this activity? No, I just want to chill out in the nest.
Okay, kind of like a sweat lodge. Yeah.
Well, it wasn't a sweat lodge. It was a boho tent. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to give you a picture. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was really his mom and sister.
I even wanted to go on there.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'll show you some pictures later. His mom and sister from over
right?
the phone and helped me. Yeah, very cozy outdoors. So, but also we had hammocks and places where people could just pull up by a tree. And it really struck me that that's what most women wanted to do. They didn't want the activities. They wanted the downtime and receiving from Mother Nature. That was it.
So good. Yeah, sounds
And
good.
some really yummy food too.
Yes. Anything that's going to be really feeling like it's nurturing and there's not like, oh, what next do I have to be doing? It's like, what do I get to do? Yeah. And make that choice. Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
That's
exactly. So yeah,
awesome.
so it's July 10th, the weekend of July 10th through the 12th. We'll see how it goes. We're hopeful. It is on my Facebook page if people want to look at it and get a little bit more information.
Yes.
So yeah,
Good.
thanks for asking about that.
Yeah, yeah, because I definitely want to make sure that everyone knows how to find out what you guys are doing, and we'll post those in the comments. I'll go back into the post and make sure they're at the top too, so you don't have to scroll through to find that. Both of you guys on both ends, your website and where people can find you socially, as well as like what you're doing right now.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and then lastly for you, Victoria, like, why is this important to you? I mean, you talked about how you wanted to get kind of back to your roots. Is there anything more inside that that feels
Yeah,
important?
well, so as a hypnotherapist, my work is dealing with meeting people where they are and seeing where the conditioned self has them trapped and their true nature isn't able to flow with their world. And our true nature is where our potential is, our purpose is. So again, I can do that through imagery and hypnosis and other tools I have in my toolkit, dream work. But there's something so profound with taking people outside to do that coaching work, to doing that checking in and letting this amazing landscape be the mirror to find ourselves and return to ourselves and reclaim ourselves. So, I mean, it's like we often say this: nature is the greatest facilitator. We just kind of show up and help nature support others with some of our tools.
Right? Isn't it nice to like play and have like a business inside of it? Yeah.
That's really important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all
Then I know you, yeah.
business.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So, and I'll make sure that, people know, because this is a short period of time and you guys have such magic to share, but I'll make sure that, I know, Victoria, that you do like free consultations for people to reach out and really like find if working with you, or if something that you've got going on, the retreat or a virtual, if that's a good fit for you. I love just, diving in a little deeper with people. So we'll make sure that, we let people know about that as well. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jane.
Might have to look into changing my name.
Yeah, I know. AK Jane, right? So Ben, yay. Welcome. Let's dive into you, let's hear a little bit about, like, because I didn't know you were doing coaching. I knew you were doing all this outdoor. Of course, that's kind of how I've known you. So I'm excited to hear what's going on in your world. It's been a while since we've actually got to connect. But you're here in Swim, which is like, what, 30 maybe minutes away from each other? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, tell us about Tarzan, why you got that nickname.
Okay. So yeah, I grew up kind of a wild kid here on the peninsula, running around and climbing trees and doing all that, and kind of never grew up in a way.
Good.
I took my shoes off when I was around 10 years old. Something kind of whispered in my ear to let go of the shoes, and so I kind of been mostly barefoot for 35 years or so, and before it was a thing.
Right.
And then got into tree climbing professionally, so I did tree care for a lot of years. And really, Tarzan from the books was my first, that's where I got the idea when I was 15. And he was kind of like my invisible mentor, from
I love it.
the Tarzan story. So that's where that came from. And then my business is Tarzan's Tree Service now. So people in the community call me Tarzan. So it's back when I had hair too.
Oh, well, who needs hair? It just gets in the way of the trees.
Right. So
unless you need it, right? Right. Use some of Victoria's.
Yeah, I know. Just got a rope.
Yeah.
So, and then Victoria's kind of the bookmark for Tribal Edge. That's my other business, where I started to bring some of the Tarzan essence to, the community, and really got into a deeper connection with living with the earth through training with Tom Brown Jr. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he's written a number of books and just a phenomenal teacher. So I actually found the Tarzan book in Tom's first book when I was 15. So those two books kind of blew
Oh,
my
wow.
mind. And then I went over and started learning from him. But anyway, so that exploded, and in 2002 we started Tribal Edge, and just offering, kind of reference it as human nature connection, because it is a lot about human nature, but also the big nature. I mean,
Oh, I love it.
after all, we
Yeah.
are nature, so there's no real
Exactly.
separation.
Right.
And inside of that, we have a couple different offerings that people might be interested in. One is, I kind of divide it into two main categories. One is called the Hero Lab, which is our fitness and martial art component, kind of the protector component. And it's a really powerful pathway, of discovery. And
Yes.
then the other one is called the Primal Lab, which is it's where we do what we call dirt time, which is getting our hands on, the elements of the earth. And, working with the primitive skills and tracking and doing these kind of deeper nature process or connection processes and practices. So I wanted to mention, though, for right now, for people watching, just a simple thing that, you asked earlier what we were practicing. Yes. And especially when we're hunkered down at home in this situation, you don't have to go out into the wilderness, the big wild, to connect with nature. Right outside my door, we've got some stinging nettles, and obviously if you touch a stinging nettle, it brings you right back into reality. But
right.
One of the main practices that we teach is the first thing actually is what's called a sit spot. And it's just a place somewhere in your yard or in somewhat a natural environment where you tap into kind of this deeper rhythm or a different pace that nature actually flows at, the rest of nature, I should say. So that's the first thing I tend to teach people how to slow down and how to be still and be quiet. And it happens naturally, when you spend a long time out in the woods. People go hiking for a while, they come back and they're kind of different, You see that in people. And so it's just a practice that's really easy. You can just go out and find a tree or some patch of your yard that you like and you feel kind of secluded at, you feel like it's a little secret spot. And then just literally do nothing. You literally just pay attention and do some mindfulness, sensory meditation or just looking around, enjoying the beauty and noticing your own experience. And that's it, That's
Obviously
one of the
barefoot.
deepest practices we can do.
Right.
Obviously,
and yes, I mean,
or whatever your level of.
Yeah, I've kind of told some people because if it gets too cold, I'm like, oh, my shoes off. I'm just like, I get so cold, and even though I'm like born and raised here, but I'll just put my hands on the earth, I can do that. And so for me, that's a good connection.
Totally.
Yeah, I read something today in one of my mentors, Melody Beatty, about just having like a little step to the right can just be a whole different view. They're like, you can just go right outside your front door and you don't really have to walk that much further to just take a different perspective in. So I love that.
Totally.
That's
great.
In
fact, the closer it is, the better, because I have a sit spot that's, really beautiful, and it's like you have to drive there. I don't go to that one, but the one I end up going to is like, 20 feet outside my door. So it's not epic, but it's amazing, So.
Right. Yeah. No, that's fantastic. I have a very beautiful view up here now. But it's just like, I got to go past these really rockety rocks before I can get to where I can take my shoes off. But I just think, it's like reflexology on my feet before I get there.
And that's another thing to consider is, with barefooting or actually any kind of conditioning, it's one of the elements we teach is conditioning in nature, and it's not about toughness. It ends up being about awareness. Your feet.
I like that.
They don't get tough. Well, they can somewhat, but they get smart. Is what happens. So your feet know how to connect and know where to step. You just adapt your movement to your environment, and that's a whole different way than being, tough, because with toughness we can't really connect in the same way.
Right, and we're trying to kind of soften, right? What was that, Victoria?
I was going to say something funny about, meeting him as the barefooter. And right now, I'm barefoot too. He's,
Nice.
I've just followed his lead and gotten really acclimated. And as he said, I love it. This, feet are smart and they'll adjust, right? And how many times when we're out in the dead of winter, even in snow, and he's not he's either barefoot or wearing his flip flops, but usually, and people will come up and say, "Aren't your feet cold?" And he'll go, "No."
Well, it's like your hands, often your hands aren't cold.
Yes.
And it's just that, it's that conditioned response. You're supposed to wear shoes. You're supposed to be wearing this and doing this. No, my body is good with this,
It's actually the opposite, right? Yeah, I mean, a lot of us should be looking at keeping that connection, and that's how we get that, by really getting rid of our rubber that are between our feet. Everywhere we go, there's less and less. I mean, not around here, thankfully, but there's less and less, dirt and grass. I went to a hotel and I was in a business meeting for 7-8 hours. And I was just kind of dying, scratching at the walls as soon as I've gotten into this trailer, where it's a small space. It's funny how I get in a larger space even, and I can't wait to get outside. And there was no grass anywhere except for the little strips when you drive up, where they put the trees and the lights to get to the parking lot. I was standing there with people driving ah.
Yeah. That can work. Just a dandelion coming through the asphalt. It can be
right.
Nature connection.
Yeah. And it's funny how weeds will find its way through some of the toughest areas, right? So
right.
That's
Talking
a lot
about that
nature.
resiliency, right? I love that's the thing too, to recognize, especially during this time when everything is so different, and what we crave mostly as humans is certainty, and we don't have certainty right now, but we can find those touchstones in nature to see how resilient nature is, how beautiful it is springtime right now, and we're seeing all this amazing lush regrowth and renewal, and to remember that's possible for us as well. That gives me great comfort and hope.
And hope. Yeah, we just said that at the same time. Yeah, exactly, because we need that, and that's what I love about this group, is just really gathering people in a way that they're finding hope, they're finding direction, and other people to reach out to really find what it is that they're needing to kind of get their head straight, to get their body in alignment, to keep that cerebral fluid and circulation going, so that we're breathing in a bigger capacity, because we don't have to be working super hard if we're doing good breath and we're outside taking in nature. I've got a background in personal training, and it's funny how I'm leaning more and more and more and more into just finding all that practice with my own body weight and my breath work, and just moving gentler on my body, slowing it down. Feels good.
Same approach. Yeah. We have a kind of a ethos called the way of the lazy leopard. So looking at the big cats, they're these powerful, strong animals. And, most of the time, 90% of the time, they're at rest.
Right.
Just valuing recovery. I think so many people are just burned out and need to really embrace recovery.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Do less.
Right.
Follow the lead of nature.
Yes, the less is more. What is it? A friend of mine, she says, slowing down to actually be faster. That's not the exact words that she says, but it's I'm oh yeah. Whenever.
Smooth, fast.
Yes, thank you. I think that's exactly it.
That's a martial arts thing.
Yeah, say that again. Slow is fast.
Slow is smooth.
Yes, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. You think about that when you're rustling around because you can't find your keys, you didn't put them in the same place. If you're decluttering, you found a place for that home, right? And yet when you're scuttling around trying to find stuff, it's just you overlook it. Because if you just take a breath, you slow yourself down and you go, okay, I think about the last time that I had my keys. What did I do? And then before you know it, you find it. So yeah, I love that. Okay, so Ben, you are, you're doing, you talked about a couple different things that you're doing. You're doing some, what is it called? The Primal Lab, right? The Hero Lab. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you're doing, go ahead.
Yeah, so the school, if you went to my website, it would be Tribal Edge.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a bunch of classes. So we do classes, coaching, and even consulting for people that want to, move in that direction. But so there's a bunch of daylight. I'm actually moving a bunch of my stuff online right now, which is what I'm working on, because that's an adaptation, right? So there will be some online offerings really soon. But yeah, look for Primal Lab, Hero Lab, and then
Earth Lab?
No, that's part of Primal Lab. And then then coaching. Yeah, those are probably the main ones.
Great.
So.
And again, I'll make sure that everyone has the links inside there. I want to just check to see if there might be any comments. I see a few on there. People are saying hi. Glad you could join. Yes, everybody says hello. If you guys have any specific questions for them, go ahead and land them in here because we are live. And the other thing that if we don't get your question live, feel free to put some comments in here because we're all tagged inside this so we can go back, answer any questions. And ideally, if you want to dive into a deeper question offline, then to reach out to Ben and Victoria. And again, I'll make sure that those links are in there. Ben, do you do a consultation where you just like get on a call and talk to people and kind of find out? Yeah, okay.
I was going to say I have a whole bunch of free stuff on my site. You might have to poke around to find it, but I do free consultations. I have a free 21-day class. We got a bunch of stuff. So.
Yep. Just motivated. 21 days is that special number, right? Yeah. Well, anything else you guys want to bring together before? I'm not seeing any specific questions for you guys here.
Well, I'd like to say when we are, out of this quarantine, we would like to personally invite everyone to come to one of our Sunday gatherings. It's the first Sunday of every month. There's Skillshare. He's doing some Skillshare stuff online for free, but the gathering that we want to hold that vision for, people gathered around the central fire with us again, and going out in the woods and just having that time together in nature. It's pretty awesome.
And what time do you guys usually do that on that first Sunday? Is it like
so it's the first Sunday of every month? 3:00 is when the Skillshare starts, and then we just do that for a couple hours, and then it's kind of hangout time. And then we have a gratitude circle around the fire, and then a potluck at 6:00.
Awesome. That sounds fun. Yeah, that sounds really good. Okay, so we're all going to be manifesting and like getting into our deep meditation, seeing us all around that fire, holding hands and opening up our hearts, seeing that happen. Yeah.
Right.
Holding hands and doing that gratitude around so that's one of the things I'm doing almost every night is really envisioning, because Victoria, we didn't talk that much about, but you obviously get into dream work, and one of the things that I remember you saying is just keep that journal right by your bed. And because we wake up and we tend to forget, but if we're going to bed with these really amazing downloads of what we're wanting to move forward in our lives with, getting outside more, being connected to the earth, being connected to what really fills us up, then if we are putting that download as we go to sleep, we're waking up with, goals and a deeper download inside that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, you just said the key word for all of this conversation, which is connection. Connection to nature, connection to our true nature, connection to our souls through our dream work. I mean, we are really blessed and provided with so much to support us through transformation if we're willing to be aware and present to it and connect to it. So dream work is that for me. It's a way, I like to say we're spiritual beings having a human connection. I mean, that's not my quote, that's Pierre de Chardin's original philosophy. But it's the perfect sacred balance of both our spiritual essence and our humanness that we're gifted with every night, these downloads of dreams and information. We just need to learn the language of dreams so that we can be present to that, connected to opportunity to transform through awareness with our, all that stuff, subconscious and soul material.
Right.
Yeah, so thank you
are
for that.
So much inside that thought, Yeah.
Can I mention the presentation through
tomorrow? Tomorrow,
Yeah.
yes, yes, please do.
Tomorrow. Yeah, I'm doing a presentation for poser yoga. I keep wanting to say poser yogurt, and it cracks me up every time. I'm like, Jenny, you need to open a yogurt stand.
Yeah.
But it's at 11 a.m. tomorrow. If you can go, you go to my page, Sacred Soul Vision with Victoria Jaswick. There's a link there to sign up, or poser yoga. It's at 11 a.m. We're just going to be talking about, I'm calling it Dreaming Ourselves Awake, using the sacred tool of dream work.
Beautiful. Yeah. And that's free. Show up. It's on Zoom. So
Actually,
yeah.
it's not free. Sorry. It's $10
Oh.
for non-members of poser yoga.
No,
Yeah.
don't be sorry. $10. That's nothing. It's worth
trying to do their best to work right now. And, you know,
yeah, we got to have some income coming in, you know. That's the thing. That's the glory in all this, is like, how can we support each other in this time? And little trickles makes a big difference, right? Makes a big difference. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I love you guys. I'm so blessed to have you inside this first like Zoom together. I feel excited to be part of that with you guys, and I hope that this brings a lot more your guys' way. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
this was
really
awesome. You're a
guys.
great interviewer.
Oh, thanks. I'm still getting stretchy myself too. All right, you guys. Thanks again.
Bless you.
Talk to you
Take
soon.
care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.